So Dokkan Battle officially has a Vegito problem, and you might hear that and think, oh yeah, of course. I mean, he gaps the game, and of course Dokkan Battle has a Vegito problem. But it's kind of not the problem you'd expect, alright? So, as I was playing some Dokkan Battle, I was recording some showcases on the current, what we would consider, the quote-unquote hardest stages in the game, soon to be, I guess, replaced by whatever the 50 phase fight is that's coming in like 2 days, 2 or 3 days. And I kind of had a moment where I said something. You see, I was trying to make the video about the 2 new characters I pulled. It was, let's just say, Glorio, and I wanted to use DAIMA Goku as well. What would be the easiest way to get on there? Maybe like an accelerated battles. So yeah, I was trying to use him, and I was trying to use DAIMA Goku. And Glorio is able to put up some pretty reasonable numbers. He can get up to like 30 million if he attacks a bunch in one turn. This Goku, of course, can shoot out a ton of attacks himself. He's also attack supporting, and he gets a big multiplicative buff here after he gets his like turns and attacks and stats in. Okay. So the issue is, as we were sort of rounding out towards the tail end of Glorio and DAIMA Goku's power, I was like, wow, the fight is over. We got hardest fight in the game by most people's standards, Goku here, and we have one of the hardest fights in the game, probably by some people's standards. I saw people saying that like this was harder than Goku. I think it's Goku. Goku feels more threatening, and dodging this character's attacks just sort of invalidates him. Dodging is still just too powerful. So yeah, we're playing this character, and then I realize, oh shit, I actually don't need to be in this fight anymore, right? Because Glorio can no longer die here. He's built up, he's hanging out, he's supporting for 3 turns, and then I'm running his team, Battle of Wits, Accelerated Battle, and I'm running 2 of them. They're both floating, they're both perfectly safe. This character is pretty fine in slot 2. He's not dodging, but he seems to have built up enough defense, just a bunch of raw stats here, and he was fine, as well as a 2-turn support, or 3-turn support. So the issue became, oh damn, the fight needs to end, but it's not ending. And why is that? Well, it's because as of right now, the 2 things that end the fight, it's not Gohan, even though Gohan has really good damage for like last year and this year technically. By the other characters in the anniversary, Gohan's damage, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan's damage is exceptional, but not by the fusion standards. Not by the fusion standards. The characters who end up putting away these fights most often, ding ding ding, are they anywhere here? Probably not, I guess. The characters that end up putting away the fights most often are these 2 characters, as well as, of course, let's see if we can just quickly get to them. Maybe just Goku and Vegeta, or Goku ampersand Vegeta. Go. That's fine. And we'll just take them to here and through to... Wow, I can't believe none of the duos are on this team. Really? I thought this would be like a really easy way to get to them, but I guess we'll have to go through GT Goku. And then... where the hell is the GT duo? Am I crazy? Am I like an insane person? Whatever. Gogeta from here, right? So it's one of those things where we get into this Gogeta, we get into this Gogeta, and we get into Vegito himself, and suddenly we're like closing the fight out. The fight doesn't exist anymore. It's over. The fight is done, right? The moment these characters come out. And while you could just float the Vegeta version of this card around, while you could just kind of maintain in the Vegeta portion of this card, or the Goku version of this card, depending on the fight, obviously Goku can't dodge if he is in the dodge canceling events, you really come to realize that like the only thing getting these fights wrapped up is this character's insane damage output on the turn where he taunts, right? Otherwise, you are in those fights for a while. And not only that, you're in those fights for a while when they're kind of done. So you could go and have like a 50-minute fight where you don't run either of the fusions, you don't fuse them, and you just have like Daima, Goku, and Glorio running around. But for the most part, you are trapped, brother. And I guess this will get into the other point. Remember before I made a video talking about T-Wars and saying like T-Wars have obviously not been treated as well as LRs. You don't have to get mad at me when I say that. It is what it is. It is what it is. This character, but he's an LR, would literally have guard or whatever. He would have the thing that makes him like top 1 in the game. Like the best tank of all time. But because he's a T-War, they just cut the lines of text out, right? That's how this works with T-Wars. There are a few examples of T-Wars that are extremely exceptional to the point where they are LR power level. I guess we could go to the one that is most obvious, and that would be in World Tournament, if you remember. Yeah, I know some of you remember. Hey, it's these guys again. Exceptional damage is like what this character did while being invincible. Exceptional damage is what this character did while being invincible. Exceptional damage even by LR standards, which is very important. There aren't many LRs doing exceptional damage by Vegito standards. So try to imagine a T-War doing exceptional damage by Vegito standards. It's not really happening yet. I do think that with time spent, Daima Vegeta has looked better and better to me. A lot of people reacted and thought he was underwhelming. I think his glaring issue is that he just does no fucking damage, right? He's supporting and stuff, but if he did 1 billion damage in slot 1 while doing everything he's doing, people would be glazing the shit out of this character. Even if he just stacked. Even if you removed his like raise here and just made him stack, and it took like 8 turns for him to get to like, I mean, Gogeta's level or something, we'd be talking. Because he could put the fight away. Right now, what T-Wars are missing mostly is the ability to put these fights away in a manner that actually like is suiting. Because they obviously made this fight in mind with this. Because you don't really see every single version of this character's like damage come out until you start running characters who are even released this celebration but aren't to the level of Vegito, who can't just pack the fight up with Vegito. You bring 2 Vegitos in here. I mean, this character's literally AGL. You bring 2 Vegitos in here and they'll wax his like 1.5 billion in 2 or 3 turns. But you start actually using like the newest T-War, and suddenly that fight's creeping on. And of course, transformation boost is a great category to lead with, a ton of fantastic options. But when you watch a fight with transformation boost, and then you watch a fight with, Earth Protecting Heroes, the big issue isn't, I don't know why it's doing this. The big issue isn't that transformation boost is just such a worse team. It's just that this character makes the fight go away, right? This character makes the fight disappear. So what I am saying, I guess in totality for this video, is that if the game of Dokkan Battle needs anything right now, if anything is the most important, it's that T-Wars receive the kind of game-changing damage that the LRs are operating with. It doesn't have to be to the same extent of Vegito, but it needs to be at least like I would actually say that I would like T-Wars to be operating somewhere here going forward. Because I think Gohan does phenomenal damage. His issue, especially for his tanking ability, his issue literally just is that the best damage in the game is trapped behind the fusions who end the fight before they unfuse, right? I would really like to see that. I think that until then, T-Wars will feel flaccid. And not only that, you're basically looking for every character coming forward. If you're like new, if you're a new or returning player, you haven't played in a while, take this message as like here's what to look out for. Because if you don't, you're going to end up in a position where you have a team of, Super Saiyan 3 Vegetas, who is a fine character. I think this character has really grown on me. Truth, I've watched some Truth showcases. I played with the character myself on friend lead, yada yada yada. One thing about this character is you might not see him use both of his supers every time. You might not see him do this and that and this and that and do all the damage and blah, 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 and he's supporting everywhere. But man, when I'm watching those videos of him using this character, he does sure just sit in slot 1 without being moved, right? Like, he is doing his job. Remember, people always say, oh, the slot 1 position is the most important one and you can't play the game without it. But then when a character they kind of don't like is slot 1, or when a character that maybe they like but isn't doing a billion damage every single attack is slot 1, it's, oh, you know, he's really not that good. It's very rarely I've seen this character die. Maybe I've seen his teammates die in the case of through showcases. I think I've seen him be locked sometimes, which is fair. You know, if he gets locked, it is what it is. But in the Goku fight, there's no locking, and it's considered the hardest fight in the game, right? We'll see about the 50 phase fights, but currently, the fight that people are calling the hardest one, this dude doesn't care about. He just sits there. I would like to see his team get a massive damage boost. And most importantly, I think that this is going to be fixed in Golden Week. I don't know if it'll be fixed in Saiyan Day. Obviously it could. I'm not saying that. I don't want people to think that Saiyan Day is some like irrelevant, irrelevant time of the year. Because Saiyan characters are typically good. I'm actually going to Pure Saiyans just to comment on this. Is he in here anywhere? No, he's not in here. So he must be here somewhere. Saiyan Day is typically pretty strong. This Vegeta was doing a brick of damage when he came out, right? And not to mention, you know, going into the GOAT himself. So it's like Saiyan Day units can match. But what I really want to see is another example of Piccolo Jr. and Goku, Team Goku from the World Tournament, because right now the game is essentially showcase the character you want, and then when you get to near like, oh, okay, we've seen everything. Like when I was doing that showcase, I was like, okay, I've seen everything. Like I've seen enough of Glorio and Daima Goku. I'm literally just going to press this button so the fight ends, because I don't think they're in danger. But otherwise, we'll just be sitting here clicking orbs until the end of time, right? So I would say this is the current Vegito problem, because they're going to make fights. They're not making this fight because of Daima Goku. They're not making this fight because of Glorio. They're making this fight because Vegito kills every other boss so quickly that it's essentially like he needs to do 1.5 billion by himself to even like begin to feel threatened by defusing, right? If they're going to continue to make fights like this, we need to see TUR scale up into this power, and that's going to need to come quick, because I don't know what the fight's going to look like for Golden Day or Golden Week. Typically, Tanabata and Golden Week are places where we could see hard fights. Last time we got the Majin Buu Red Zone, which wasn't the hardest thing ever, but the Kid Buu fight itself was pretty difficult. I don't know. Here's hoping. I would strongly suggest against pulling on TURs now that I've sort of had this revelation. Mostly because, and I'll say it because I'll always say it, Vegito finishing your food isn't really good enough for a character. Because people like to talk about how, you know, we play with like, I guess we can go to GT Heroes to find this. People like to talk on and on about how this character existing, it means that all these other characters can't be good because Super Saiyan 4 giving damage reduction is carrying them and so on and so forth. I mean, sure, but I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of characters right now who are in a lot more danger if this motherfucker doesn't come out and finish the fight for them. There are a lot of characters right now that if this guy isn't on that team, it takes so long that you might just get caught. And most importantly, the characters that will suffer the most from this are extreme units, right? Not to pull this guy up as like the extreme unit, but like let's just say like, I don't know, Terrifying Conquerors, very generic. Extreme units suffer the most from this because without a definitive hitter, you can't really afford to run these teams and never get caught, right? And never get caught. What I would love is a very, very dominant form of like this character. I think this character ended up being built quite well. I love full power Frieza here. If they got a dominant, just overbearing version of this character, but like let's say they're not Vegito tier, but they're like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and the gods level, we'd be talking. But until then, we can't really bring back uncontrollable power, right? Because how does the fight end? How do we get it to end? You know, who's ending this fight? No one? It's gonna take so long. It's gonna take so long. Eventually, someone's just gonna get caught. Characters like this are just gonna get caught. And it's not that he's bad at all. I think he could still be dragged through the Blue Goku fight, right? You float him off. You suspend his transformation condition. All these things, and maybe he'll get through. But guess what? Guess who makes it so he can get through? It's not himself. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's not himself. Ultimately, the reason characters like Broly can survive in this meta is because eventually Big Daddy will come out, and he'll end the fight before anything else can happen to him. So yeah, if you like the video, subscribe to join the club. We all gonna make it, and let's get some damage back on the board, Omatsu. Peace.